I'm going to be making this little garbage bag that you can have for your car. It can go around the headrest and snap into place, so it's really easy to remove, so you can wash it, or you can line it with a garbage bag and not have to wash it as frequently. So I'm going to do this kind of tutorial style, so I'm going to make it pretty snappy. That way, after the live, I can share the playback with you so you can save it for future reference. I've got 10 by 10 squares. The first one I actually cut in half. So that makes that piece. And then I have 4 additional 10 by 10 squares. 2 are the lining and 2 are the outer fabric. Each of the lining and outer fabric have been reinforced with SF101. It's a woven fabric with like little beads of glue on there that you can fuse to your fabric. Did not do the fusible fabric on the handle because I did this one here and it worked just fine. There was enough stability in the handle. Also, I want to be able to punch the snaps in. I'm not sewing it into the bag. I am actually adding snaps. And with that fusible SF101, I don't know if I'd be able to get through. Speaking of the handle, we're going to start with that first. So to make the handle, we're going to take our 10 by 10 square. We cut it in half. Now we're going to go pretty side to pretty side, and we are going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance along the short end so it will open up to a longer piece. And I'm using the edge of my foot as the guide because when I set it to 1/4 inch on my machine, that's the perfect distance from my needle to the edge of the foot is a 1/4 inch. So we're gonna sew across and backstitch. Now we have a longer piece. I'm going to set the 10 by 10 pieces aside for a moment, and we're going to work on the handle. So now that we have the handle, we're going to flip it over pretty side down, and we're going to press open the seam. Now that that's pressed over, we're going to fold this in half, and we're going to press again. Now that we've folded it in half, we're going to open it up. We're going to take the long end and fold it to the center crease. And you can finger press this as well, but I'm going to go ahead and use my little iron. I don't want to press out the crease in the center, so I just want to be careful to just get the edge here. The same thing over here on the other side. We're going to fold it towards the center. Now we're going to fold over on itself. That is the plan. However, before we go ahead and stitch around the outside, on the short end, we are going to actually open this up and fold in some of the material. So that way when we fold it back together and sandwich it like this, we'll have a finished edge. We're going to turn it around here, do the exact same thing to the other side. Again, we have that center fold, and then we folded each long end towards the middle, and then we'll sandwich it together. I'll just start on the one end here. We're going to start at the side, come to the end, stop, pivot, sew to this end, stop, pivot, and go all the way around. And we're doing it at a 3 stitch length. So our handle is done. There we go. Have that completed. Now we're going to move on to our outer fabric and our lining fabric. You could have different fabric colors if you wanted to. I'm just making it super easy, and I'm doing the outer fabric and the lining fabric the same. So we're just going to put them pretty sides to pretty sides for both of them. The first one that we're going to do is the lining fabric. With the lining fabric, we're going to take this 10 by 10 square. We're going to sew all the way on the left, a little bit on the bottom here, but then we're going to leave a hole, and we're not going to sew here. And then we're going to continue sewing at the bottom and all the way up. The reason that we're going to keep an opening, which I'm going to just mark here so we don't forget. The reason that I'm leaving the opening is because we'll turn our bag right side out when it's time. I'm just going to put a couple of clips on each side to hold it in place. Now we can go ahead and sew. Line where I said we're just gonna stop and leave the hole, I'm just gonna back stitch and cut my thread. And then we're gonna lift this up and we're gonna scooch it to the other side and start sewing. We're gonna do a little back stitching and then do the same thing. Pivot. And we're gonna go all the way up the side. And then once we get to the top, we're gonna back stitch. Now we're gonna do our outer fabric. So this is gonna be the outside of our garbage bag. We're gonna line those up as best we can. My cutting was really poor on these squares. Gonna line them up. This time we don't have to leave an opening on the bottom, so we're gonna sew all the way down the left side, the bottom, and the right side. Got both pieces, so this is our outer fabric, this is our lining fabric that we're going to keep the opening. Now we're going to cut out our boxes because we're going to do boxed corners. So I'm just going to take a ruler here and find 2 inches and 2 inches. We are not going to line up the guides with the seam. We're just doing 2 inches by 2 inches with the fabric. So if I don't have glare from the light, there we go. So we're gonna do 2 inches. My dog keeps making funny noises. And then 2 inches on that one. And then this is the top. So we're gonna pull this up. We're gonna do the boxed corners here. If you were on with me earlier, my phone go. I'm going a little fast for a tutorial, but hopefully you're seeing what I'm doing. Now we're going to box our corners. Just grab your outer fabric. Put your fingers in here on the corners there, give it a little tug, and you're gonna match up the seams. So you'll see those seams match up nicely. Then you wanna do what's called nesting your seams. You can put your one seam to the left and then do the other to the right, and you'll see that kind of nests together. And in doing that, the raw edge of the fabric also needs to line up. So what I like to do is first line up the seam, put my clip there, and then when the top is lined up, I take my finger and just kind of flatten out that fabric and kind of pinch it and just have a clip there to hold it in place. This just makes it easier to bring it to the machine and sew it. So from this side, I'm gonna line up that raw edge. Again, drag my finger, flatten out that fabric, and put a securing little clip. Now we can go sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to do a back stitch. So we've got that one boxed. Now we're going to do the exact same thing with the other 3 corners. We have done the lining fabric. And we have a hole at the bottom that we're going to be able to turn it right side out. So the way that we want to do this is, let's see here. We want to turn the outer fabric, so the one without the hole, we're going to turn that right side out. Right side out. And we're going to poke out those corners for the boxed corners here. And then we're going to put these 2 together. Now, with this one here, I'm going to show you really quickly. With the one that I made earlier, I did not sew the handle in because I wanted the ability to use the snaps so it could come off really easily. Now, if you don't have a snap kit, you can still sew in the handle and just take your headrest and lift it out and then, you know, put this around and then put your headrest back in and it will work just fine. But I went ahead with the snaps because I wanted it to be super easy to just wrap it around, snap it, and you're good to go. And then when it's time to empty it or you need to wash it, you can just unsnap it and go from there. Because not everybody has this little snap kit available, I'm going to go ahead and sew this one. So we're going to take the handle that we made and we are going to sew it in, even though we did finished edges. So let's go ahead and take this is the outer fabric. We're going to take it and put it pretty side to pretty side. So we're going to put it inside the lining fabric. And then we're going to match up the seams. So we're going to match these up on both sides. We put it facing that direction. So once again, we're going to lay that flat and put it the same direction. So we're going to flip that other one opposite of it. And let's see. We're going to line that up. Do the same thing for the other side. We're going to line up those seams. Now we are going to put our handle in as well. So the boxed corner here, it's 2 inches from the edge. So the way that I did the snaps was I measured 2 inches from the seam and then I placed the handle. But this time we're going to sew it in. So what we're going to do is make sure that it's like, I don't know if you can see that. We're going to make sure that it's not twisted or anything. We're going to do it like that. And we're going to stick it between the outer fabric and the inner fabric. And I'm just going to hold this with a clip really quick so I don't twist it. I'm going to measure from the edge. I'm going to go 2 inches. And the edge of the strap is going to be at that 2-inch mark. Okay, and then we're going to clip this. And we're going to do the same thing from this side. So from the seam, we're going to do from the seam, we're going to measure 2 inches to the edge of the handle. Now we're going to take the other fabric that's in there. We're just going to line everything up. We're going to grab those handles first, so they don't move around on us. We're gonna make that nice and flat. Put that clip right there. Okay, so now along the whole top, we're gonna go and clip. Remember, don't unclip your handles. I've got a flatbed, so what I'm gonna do is just slide it like this. It's a little bit kind of cumbersome to get started. You just have to kind of slide it in there. And then I'm going to drop my foot I'm going to do center needle position, and then I am going to use the edge of my foot as a guide. And that way I can just worry about kind of maneuvering this fabric, and I don't have to worry too much about, you know, my seam allowance or anything. So we're just going to back stitch and go all the way around. Okay, now at this point, all we have to do is carefully pull this out. So we're going to get it right side out. What we're going to do is put our fingers in like this, kind of give it a little tug, and it'll bring that fabric in like that. We're going to kind of sandwich it together. Just going to line it up. I'm going to take a couple of clips to hold it in place, and we're just going to top stitch this closed. You're sewing super close to the edge and closing that opening. That's all you're doing at this point. If you wanted to have it more invisible, you could do it hand by hand, and you could do like a little, I don't know all the names of the hand sewing, but like a little whip stitch or whatever they're called. But I always just do a close top stitch and close it up. This is on the inside of your garbage can anyway, so it's not like you're going to be looking at it. We're just going to pull it, tuck that lining into the outer fabric. So at this point, I'm going to try to scooch up here so we can do it together, but you just kind of tuck it in there. And see, we sewed that in, so now you'll be able to put this around your headrest. Depending on your car, I can't imagine that this is going to go over the headrest. You'll have to lift out the headrest and then put it in and hang it. But that's why I like the strap method. But if you don't have the strap kit, this is a great alternative. So you can kind of roll the top, make sure that everything lines up. Once again, I'm just going to take my clips. We're going to clip around. Make sure that is good. So I'll clip all the way around. Kind of roll it. If you have trouble with it rolling to, you know, because it's kind of a little bit weird, you can grab it on both sides and just kind of pull it apart and then pinch right at the seam. And that works nicely too. So then you can get it lining up correctly. That way, when you do your top stitch all the way around, you're not going to have like all this all wonky. Now that we've clipped all the way around, we don't want to sew this down. We don't want to sew that in. So we're going to sew it like this with it up, and we're just going to do a 1/2 inch from the top. And that is all there is to it. You've made a little garbage can that you can hang around the headrest in your vehicle. And if you want to, you can also pick up one of these snap kits, and instead of sewing your handle in, you can do it this way like I made earlier and have a detachable, handle. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I will see you next time.